Hi, everyone. We are Group 6, and we are presenting on how to market the vaccine to Gen Z individuals in the United States. My name is Danielle, and my group members' names are Moise, Nathan, Thomas, Hector, and Anthony. The coronavirus disease, also known as COVID-19, is an infectious disease caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Most people infected with the virus will experience mild to moderate respiratory illness and recover without requiring special treatment. However, some will become seriously ill and require medical attention. Older people and those with underlying medical conditions like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, chronic respiratory disease, or cancer are more likely to develop serious illness. Anyone can get sick with COVID-19 and become seriously ill or die at any age. The best way to prevent and slow down transmission is to be well informed about the disease and how the virus spreads. The virus can spread from an infected person's mouth or nose in a small liquid particles when they cough, sneeze, speak, sing, or breathe. These particles range from large respiratory droplets to smaller aerosols. It is important to practice respiratory etiquette, for example, by coughing into a flexed elbow, and to stay home and self-isolate until you recover if you feel unwell. To prevent the infection and to slow transmissions of COVID-19, it is recommended to do the following things. Get vaccinated when a vaccine is available to you, stay at least 1 meter apart from others, wear a properly fitted mask, choose open spaces over closed one, wash your hands regularly with soap and water, cover your mouth and nose when coughing or sneezing, and if you feel unwell, stay at home and self-isolate until you recover. The COVID-19 disease affects different people in different ways. Most infected people will develop mild to moderate illness and recover without hospitalization. A few of the most common symptoms include fever, cough, tiredness, and a loss of taste or smell. The less common symptoms include sore throat, headache, aches and pains, a rash on the skin, and red or irritated eyes. People with mild symptoms who are otherwise healthy should manage their symptoms at home. On the other hand, some serious symptoms include difficulty breathing or shortness of breath, loss of speech or mobility, confusion, and chest pain. The COVID-19 vaccines help our body develop immunity to the virus that causes COVID-19 without us having to get the illness. Currently, there are 3 main types of COVID-19 vaccines that are authorized and recommended. Each type of vaccine prompts our body to recognize and protect us from the virus that causes COVID-19. The first vaccine is the mRNA vaccine that contains material from the virus that causes COVID-19 that gives our cells instructions for how to make a harmless protein that is unique to the virus. The second vaccine is a protein subunit vaccine that includes harmless pieces of the virus that causes COVID-19 instead of the entire germ. Lastly, there is the vector vaccine that contains a modified version of a different virus than the one that causes COVID-19. To be fully vaccinated, you will need 2 shots of some COVID-19 vaccines. If you get a COVID-19 vaccine that requires 2 shots, you are considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks after your second shot. Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are example of a 2-shot requirement. On the other hand, if you get a COVID-19 vaccine that requires 1 shot, you are considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks after your shot. The Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine only requires 1 shot. Some common side effects of the COVID-19 vaccine include tiredness, headache, muscle pain, chills, fever, nausea, and pain and redness and swelling in the arm where you got the vaccine.
My name is Anthony Gomez, and I'll be going over the public misconceptions about COVID. The first misconception is that COVID vaccine enters your cells and changes your DNA. The COVID-19 vaccine are designed to help your body's immune system fight the coronavirus. The messenger RNA from the 2 of the first types of COVID-19 vaccine does enter cells, but not the nucleus of the cells where DNA resides. Another misconception is people believe if they already had COVID, they do not need a vaccine. If you already had COVID before and are not vaccinated, your risk of getting reinfected is more than 2 times higher than those who were infected and got vaccinated. Evidence suggests that there is some level of immunity for those who previously had COVID, but it is unknown how long you are protected. Another misconception is researchers rush the development of the COVID-19 vaccine, so its effectiveness and safety cannot be trusted. Studies found that 2 initial vaccines are both about 95% effective and reported no serious or life-threatening side effects. Another misconception is getting the COVID vaccine gives you COVID-19. The COVID-19 vaccine does not contain the SARS-CoV-2 virus, so you cannot get COVID from the vaccine. The protein that helps your immune system recognize and fight the virus does not cause infection of any sort. Another misconception is the side effects of COVID-19 vaccines are dangerous. Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines can have side effects, but the vast majority are very short term, not serious or dangerous. How big is the Gen Z segment? Age range. Gen Z, nearly 68 million of the US population, is the newest generation. People within this generation were born between 1997 and 2012 and are currently between 9 and 24 years old. In 2019, Gen Z made up 20.3% of the United States population. Gen Z is the most ethnically diverse and largest generation in the US history. Gen Z COVID-19 stats. While Gen Z is likely to be hospitalized due to the effect of COVID-19, according to the CDC, patients between 18 and 29 years old represent less than 0.5% of deaths in the US, but about 23% of total cases. Breaking this down a little more, 18 to 29 years old account for almost a fourth of total cases in the United States. This emphasizes that although Gen Z may not reap of all the health consequences of COVID, Gen Z does play a large part in the spreading of COVID and has responsibilities to take steps to prevent the spread of COVID, such as taking the vaccine.
And so, to elaborate more on the relationship between Gen Z and the COVID-19 vaccine, we looked at a survey from the Harris poll who asked questions to a population of about 1,900 people concerning the vaccines. To the question about their mindset when it comes to getting the vaccine, about 35% answered that they would wait to see what happens. When asked how strictly they think post-millennials are following the COVID-19 precautions, 57% said not too strictly or not at all. These results suggest that many post-millennials do not understand the urgency of the situation and that their perception of it may be skewed. This is important information to take into account when considering how to market this segment. We also looked at social media, as it is a characteristic more unique to Gen Z, as we mentioned before. The data shows that approximately 98% of Gen Z own a smartphone and that they typically spend on average about 4 hours a day on it. Another report showed that 64% of Gen Z receives their news and info, typically pertaining to current events, through social media. And lastly, 80% say that their shopping purchases were influenced by social media, and 52% when talking about their political views. This shows us the marketability of social media and how Gen Z can be persuaded by it. But in order to market the vaccine, we need to understand where the hesitancy to receive it comes from. A large amount of those still unvaccinated are untrusting of the data so far and would either like to wait for more info or just not get it at all. We also found that there are a lot of public misconceptions that lead to many younger people feeling that they don't really need it, such as portraying COVID as something older people die from. And finally, we are seeing that those with lower education and household incomes have had the lowest vaccination coverage.
Social media play a major role in Gen Z's life. A big majority of post-millennials own a smartphone and receive their news and information through social media. We can also see that most Gen Z's purchase behavior and political decision are influenced by social media. The different ways they receive information is mainly through social media, such as Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, but also through websites, word of mouth, and influencers.
Our first proposed coping strategy is to use social media campaigns to better inform Gen Z on the vaccine and to encourage them to acquire the vaccine. Or in other words, to market accurate and informative information regarding the vaccine by the use of social media campaigns. For example, healthcare providers and government officials are utilizing promotion within social media platforms to share public information and encourage Gen Z to get vaccinated. And being that a large portion of Gen Z receives their information through social media platforms, as marketers, we will utilize these platforms to reach Gen Z and to spread accurate and correct information regarding the vaccine. Leading to our next proposed coping strategy, which is to send out mass text to Gen Z to inform them on the vaccine and just answer any basic questions that they may have and to debunk misinformation as well. For example, there's Next Gen America, a nonprofit organization that is planning to send mobile advertising texts, alerts, and emails to 1 million young people, both to help them figure out where to get vaccinated and to answer basic questions as well. And lastly, as we mentioned prior, the CDC urges anyone 12 and over to get vaccinated. And being that the average Gen Z acquires a smartphone shortly before turning 12, as marketers, we will use this advantage as an opportunity to send out texts and to push a pro-vaccine narrative to Gen Z.
Our next coping strategy is acquiring the help of influencers to promote the vaccine. As we mentioned earlier, social media influencers play a huge role in shaping the views and purchase decisions of Gen Z. As marketers, we can acquire influencers to spread a vaccine positive narrative and encourage Gen Z to take the vaccine. With the amount of false information floating around, we can also use influencers to help debunk false information that was previously spread and push out correct information about the vaccine. While we came up with this strategy on our own, we found that our own government was already on it. This past summer, President Joe Biden invited pop star Olivia Rodrigo to the White House and partnered with her to push for the vaccine and answer questions. The Biden administration's goal was to get people aged 12 to 18 vaccinated before they return to school in the fall, using the help of the 18-year-old pop star. The Biden administration also partnered with over 50 TikTokers, YouTubers, and Twitch streamers to counteract the spread of misinformation. Our next coping strategy is using social media campaigns to share testimonials. We as marketers can use social media to highlight the stories of people who got vaccinated and their reasons. For example, some people had to get the vaccine because they couldn't visit sick family members in the hospital without it, or even be around them in their own homes. I personally have a friend who recently got diagnosed with cancer. As a result of his chemotherapy, his immune system became really weak and wasn't allowed to take visits from friends who weren't vaccinated. And so some of my friends went and got vaccinated because they realized through this experience that not getting vaccinated doesn't only affect them, but it could also affect the ones that they care about. We believe, as marketers, sharing these personal stories may break through to the minds of Gen Z by showcasing how important the vaccine is to some people, and could help Gen Z reflect, consider, or reconsider their stance on the vaccine. Our last coping strategy is the use of incentives. Many companies are now incentivizing the vaccine through cash rewards, discounts, free events, free food, and even paid time off for employees. Target is giving out $25 gift cards to those who are vaccinated. Some people are offering special pop-up clinics with a free concert ticket for each person that gets vaccinated. Uber and Lyft are giving free rides to vaccination sites. Krispy Kreme is giving out free donuts to those who are vaccinated. Some retailers are giving discounts. CVS was giving 10 or 15% off to those who are vaccinated. And some employers are even giving paid time off for those who get the vaccine. And as we mentioned earlier, some of Gen Z is hesitant to receive the vaccine as it would require taking time off work. Giving paid time off could help effectively eliminate that concern and possibly motivate Gen Z to take the vaccine. So in conclusion, being that tech plays a major daily role in the lives of Gen Z, we as marketers can utilize social media campaigns to counteract misinformation about the vaccine, send out mass text to educate and encourage people to take the vaccine, acquire social media influencers to push for the vaccine, share testimonials to have people resonate with the stories of those who got vaccinated, and use incentives and use tech to inform Gen Z about those incentives for getting the vaccine. Thank you, and make sure to get vaccinated.